welcome back. This is the 260. I'm Joe Walburn. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor in the 260, Dave Rickert. We've got Matt Brumball, the director of sports at the Spies Fieldhouse, and I'm proud to present a high school coach who's been responsible for the biggest turnaround in the state of Indiana this year. Took his team from 4 wins last year to 20 wins, and I'm proud to present the Wayne High School basketball coach, head coach Byron Pickens.
Hey, fellas, I appreciate you having me today.
Happy you're here, buddy.
Hey, Byron, you know what? Congratulations.
Yes.
What a tremendous job this year, Byron. 4 wins last year, 20 wins this year. You win the Summit Athletic Conference Championship, and you win the sectional last week on what I'm going to call it, the shot by Javon Lewis. And I tell you what, tremendous to see the buy-in of the kids. And what has that been like for you, Byron? I know you have so much pride with Wayne. Wayne's such a great school. What has that turnaround meant to you, Byron? What has it meant to your kids?
You know, it's been a little overwhelming, to be honest. I was just speaking a little earlier with my boys, and if you would have asked me last year if we would have been in this situation, I probably wouldn't have believed you, especially with those 4 wins. The kids just grew up, as well as the coaching staff, myself.
Yes.
We just embraced who we are. We're a hard-working team. We can score, and we're proud of that. And like you said, we're proud of Wayne.
Yes.
So it's just been overwhelming, especially the support that we're getting.
So, being in your 4th year, from where you started, and now you're here and you won your first sectional championship since 1994. I think they're going to extend your contract forever.
Absolutely. I would think so. Athletic director, Mr. Raber, he's extremely happy that the kids are just getting noticed.
Yes.
I feel like our boys were working their tails off last year. We just played against a lot of juggernauts. Fletcher Lawyer, senior. We played against Braden Smith.
Yeah.
We played against Jalen Jackson. So, we're almost battle-tested now because we played against that caliber of player.
And by having the 4-loss season, you learn a lot from your team.
A lot of lessons, a whole lot of lessons.
I tell people that all the time. By losing, you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Byron, one thing that I can, as a coach, as a high school coach, in baseball and seeing just the culture change that you've created at Wayne and how, you're hard-nosed, play hard, kids take pride in things. Just talk about how, the ups and downs of trying to get that culture changed.
Well, when I came into Wayne, the first thing I wanted to do was just put my stamp on there. I'm kind of charismatic, when it's one-on-one. But in a game, when I was a player, I looked at myself as a fierce competitor, someone that was in your face, that wanted to play defense. So I tried to make sure that we took pride in that at first. You can't try to do everything all at once.
Yeah.
We had some good senior leadership my first year with Michael Redding and Quincy Miles, Jr. And Quincy Miles' junior brother is now a junior on my team.
Nice.
So just instilling the little things, and watching the boys actually tell the freshmen the things I was telling them when they were freshmen.
Yeah.
It's just refreshing as well.
When you got your players doing coaching, you're going to win.
Absolutely.
And what was the moment that you felt like, I got this? We've turned the ship. Because, to have only 4 wins last year, you had to have had a moment where you're like, okay, I got this. What was that moment for you, Coach, and your program?
I think it was 2 moments. So the first moment was this summer. We played at IWU Super Hoops. They had a June ball tournament, and we played against Chesterton. And Chesterton was the runner-up in last year's state tournament. And we competed with them, and we beat them pretty handily.
Wow.
So I chalked it up as like, okay, it's June, it's summer. They probably didn't have anyone. And then the other moment is when we defeated Blackhawk this year.
Yes, that was a big win, and that felt like that really gave you the momentum because you seemed to pick up momentum as the season went on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had a 3-game losing streak. I think it started with Northside, then Arsenal Tech, and then Norwell. And actually, the kids came together, and they started this motto of no paint. Nobody gets in the paint. Yep. So that toughness just translated to everything, and even my coaching. So we kind of gave the boys goals. Hey, nobody gets in the paint. They can't get in the paint 40% of the time.
No boards.
Exactly. So those little things have propelled us and helped us win some games.
That's awesome.
And before we get into the kids, can you talk a little bit about your staff? I've seen about 4 or 5 of your games this year. I love your assistant coaches. I mean, you've got Anthony. You got some guys that just have so much energy, but I also see a lot of strategy and a lot of X's and O's. And when you beat my Archers, which broke my heart, at halftime, I watched you guys stand outside as I was sneaking concessions with my boy. I watched you guys, though. You guys were very calm. You were teaching, and I was just really impressed with your staff. Talk about your staff for a second.
Well, first one is going to be Anthony Brewer. Of course, everyone knows him. He's a Northside grad.
Yes.
Hard nosed. He's the disciplinarian of our program. He's gonna coach you hard and love you even harder.
And when you watch the games with Anthony, I watch him on the sideline. He just seems to have so much intensity, and at times, I feel like some of your bigger kids really feed off that.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't want to let Brew down. So his energy goes onto the court. He gives me energy, gives the other coaches energy as well. The next up, we have Greg Patterson. He started off in the AAU ranks.
I've known Greg for years. I love Greg.
Everybody loves Greg.
Happy.
Happy. Great guy to be around, and he's turned into an excellent coach as well. He knows every kid. He knows everything about everything on, and it started on that side of town, but now it's in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Next, we have Josh Forbes. We've worked together when I was coaching with Indy Heat. Me and him, we always work side by side. He was the first guy that I hired. He does all the little things behind the scenes. He'll drive the bus. He's just so selfless.
Yes.
And that trickles down to the players as well, because when they see him picking up water bottles at the end of games, they just want to do that. And I know everyone has seen the pictures going around of our boys, helping Southside's boys off the court after the win.
That was amazing because you know what?
What a beautiful moment that was.
I thought that shot was going to drop, Dave. I jumped out of my seat. My son, for some reason, is rooting for Wayne. My son is the biggest Wayne fan, and he wore a Wayne sweatsuit to the game. I said, look, son, you know I'm the Southside kid. We got to root for South. That last shot,
that is my
Coach,
slogan. I am the Southside
I am
kid.
the Southside kid. That last shot, I thought it was going to drop, and I collapsed on the floor. My son was jumping up and down, screaming, happy. But you know what? It says a lot about Wayne High School, your great kids, the sportsmanship. Because I'll be honest with you, that was a devastating loss for us.
Absolutely, and hats off to JJ and his staff and the players. I think they perfected that game plan.
Yeah, they did.
The shot, it was in the air forever, if you ask me.
And you know what, Coach? It seems like, too, that sometimes in a tournament setting, you have to survive those games.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it felt like. That was one of those games. But
big test.
Big test, like Dave says. Survive and move on. But as we get into your kids, talk for a minute about the mental toughness of Javon to be able to hit those 2 free throws, because we iced him on the second free throw. That was a long break.
Very long.
And he stepped up and hit that second free throw. So talk a little bit. We know how great Javon is. When I watch Javon, I love his footwork. Mm-hmm. But talk about just
he's smooth.
Dave nailed it. Dave sends me a text and he says, Joe, does any kid have smoother footwork? But talk about the mental toughness of Javon.
You're looking at a 17-year-old who lost his father. I mean, you can't call a timeout to ice him. He's a warrior. He doesn't allow much of anything get to him, and if it does, it just fuels his fire to compete at a higher level.
He has a nose for the ball, and he wants it. He wants to take the last shot. He's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he wants to take the last shot. He wants to guard the best player. He's going to make a college coach extremely happy.
He's a tremendous player. And when I watch the sectional championship game, I always feel like he was so patient and lets the game come to him. And then at the right moment, he takes the game over. And that was just – and what were you thinking at the end of the game against Homestead? I mean, Will was just off the hook. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen Will play any better for Homestead? He was just killing it. But you guys were patient. And I saw you when Javon was letting the clock run down. You were standing next to him. What was your message to Javon on that last shot, Coach?
That I'm not calling a timeout. I'm not allowing Homestead to set up any defense on
And
them.
that's fascinating, Dave, because when I watched it, I was in the stands, and I thought, well, he's going to burn a 30 right here and get organized. And he didn't, and he stood next to Javon, and I thought it was a great moment because he had tremendous belief in his kids. And that was my question for you tonight. I guess that's the message, just play through it. But what did you say? You weren't going to burn a timeout. Did you give any other instructions to Javon before the shot?
Well, it's kind of that thing when a point guard and a coach knows each other. They kind of know what they want. There's a video circulating where you're telling me, I'm telling the kids to switch. I just wanted Javon to get to the left-hand side. He was on the right-hand side. I wanted him to get off the ball, get to the left-hand side, and just make something happen. So as I'm saying, do that. He picked up his dribble, passed to our other guard, MJ, passed it to the corner, moved, isolated, and came back and got the ball, and the rest is history.
And that's what was key, because if he wasn't going to his left, because when he made the fakes, there was two guys that went by him. And he wouldn't have been able to have that look if he was going to the right.
Absolutely.
And that's fascinating. And you know what? You know, Matt, with all your background in baseball, those little fundamentals and those little moments make all the difference in big moments.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you go over it time and time and time again, so you know where you're at. Your player knows where you're at, and they can execute. And they again, like Byron said, you're in each other's heads. You know exactly where you want to be at any point. So, a testament to the kid.
And going forward, Coach, what's keeping you up at night with Noblesville? Obviously the Logansport Regional, you guys play at 4 o'clock against Noblesville. What's giving you the heartburn, and what concerns you with Noblesville?
Well, they have in my eyes, a Division I player. He's actually going to be here next year, going to St. Francis. Luke. He can shoot it from 3. Has a great vertical. He'll dunk on you if you're not standing in front of him. We just have to make sure that we contain him. We've played a lot of good players this year, but I don't think we played anyone at just his caliber.
And for a moment, we want to send shouts out to Northside. Northside's playing the second game against Kokomo. I mean, talk about North for a minute and the greatness of Gary Andrews, over 600 wins. You guys had a loss to North. So talk about, take about 15, 20 seconds and tell us the greatness of the North program.
Well, they're a lot like us, where if you stop one person, that they have 2 or 3, maybe even 4th person that can score 20 points on you.
Yeah.
We game plan to stop Tay, and his brother Brayshawn made 9 out of 11 threes.
Yeah, I remember that, and that's what beat you that
Exactly.
night. That was, I don't think he'll ever shoot that well. And Dave, how about Bishop Dwenger? Bishop Dwenger will be down playing a team with a losing record, Twin Lakes, down in Newcastle, Dave. And Dave, you always say Dwenger plays their best basketball at the end.
With me being the oldest guy here, well, second oldest guy, Dwenger's MO has always been they wake up in the last part of January, because I believe they're making so many runs in football that these kids aren't out playing. So it takes them a while to get going. It's usually at the end of January, and boom, here we are, and they beat a team that we thought would have won.
I agree.
And how about Blackhawk Christian? You said, Coach, that was your biggest win. Blackhawk Christian, they're going to play Tipton down in Lapel, and they're 23-3, and they've had a great season. Talk a little bit about the great program of Blackhawk Christian.
I mean, what is there to say? I mean, they're they have everything that a team would want. They have a big point guard. They have quality bigs. They have shooters. They play defense. They have a great coach that's played at the highest level you can play at.
Yes.
And they also have Coach Mark looking down on them, making sure that they make the right
God
plays
bless
as well.
Coach Mark, and
So,
they're playing
what a
for
man.
him.
Yeah. So
I see some attributes of you, of him and you.
Well,
I really do.
Thank you.
And your demeanor, it's very, very pleasing.
Well, thank you for that.
You handle big moments very well, and your kids feed off it. You don't, you've got that. I know you're from Chicago. You got that mentality. You never get too high or too low, and it felt like in the big moments, your kids were very calm.
You know what? And that comes from those lessons of last year. I wasn't very calm last year, and I'm glad the cameras weren't there. But again, when I talk about maturing, I understand, if I'm panicking, they're going to panic.
Yep.
I'm their leader.
Off of you.
So I just do my best to make sure that I give them the energy that I want them to give to the world.
And as we finish up here, Coach, one last question. The strategy versus Noblesville, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm an old football guy. I feel like Preston Comer is going to be so key because I feel like as a big, he can shoot the three and stretch the floor. And when he's on, knocking down those threes, I feel like Chase and Javon and Monte have so much more room to maneuver. How key is he? And am I on the right track thinking that he could really be the difference for you?
Absolutely, and I think he's been the difference for us this entire year. He's our X factor. He can rebound. He can guard the bigger defenders. He can guard the smaller guards. He blocks shots, and like you said, he has the ability to step outside and make threes. He just has to have the confidence to know that those shots are going to go in. Usually, once he makes the first or second shot, usually his game elevates, and we're just going to keep preaching that he can do it. We believe in him, and we're just going to see how it goes forward.
Confidence.
Yep.
How much fun has this ride been for you?
Very fun. I outside of when my kids were born and I got married, I haven't smiled this much. Just watching these boys mature.
How old is your oldest now?
My oldest is 9 and my youngest is 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I got a question for you. I know it's a little different over in Chicago. What's the best you ever did in high school? Did you ever win a comparable to a sectional?
Oh, no. The closest I got was to win my conference, and my conference was pretty tough. So, I'm almost living my dreams through these kids as well.
Yep.
And Matt always talks about youth coaches and, who's made the difference for you. For me, it was Coach Eddie Nolan on the south side of town. When you came up and played in Chicago, who was the youth coach that made a difference for you, really got you excited about basketball, and really reached you, Coach?
Well, it was my high school coach. His name is Brandon Moody. He's currently a referee in Chicago. He gave me that confidence. I don't feel like I was the most skillful player, but he made me believe I was, and that's what pushed me to be where I am now.
Well, Coach, the 260 is proud of you, and I tell you what, the pride in the Wayne program right now and what you've brought from 4 wins to 20 wins, seeing how hard those kids play for you, we couldn't be any prouder of you, Coach. We want to wish you all the well on Saturday down in Logansport against Noblesville. Everybody out there in the 260, we got to get down there. We got to roll down there and support not only a great Wayne team, Dave, but how about a great Northside team? We got 2 of our great teams down there, Dave. And Blackhawks playing on Saturday. We got Dwenger. Down in Logansport, let's get down there. But I tell you what, thank you for making the time, Coach. I know it's a busy, busy week for you, but we are so proud of you, and we're proud of not only the Wayne basketball program, but Wayne High School.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for having me.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, Coach. And I tell you what, on the other side, we know, Dave, you and Matt are here, how keen and how great the 260 has been for hockey. That's our legacy, and we have a name on the other side.
It might have some breaking news.
That's right, might have some news. We have Boudreaux on the other side for the 260.